Fellas, we're re-entering Blue Archive Swimsuit season in December, and to kick things off, we've got the Swimsuit Abydos Ghost making another return in this week's Blue Archive update, with Swimsuit Serika finally making her debut as the new 3-star unit, and Swimsuit Nonomi, Swimsuit Wakamo, and Swimsuit Shiroko being the rerun units, plus Swimsuit Ayane as the welfare student. However, I won't be covering the rerun units cause I've already done so in the past in a previous video. Link in the description to that review if you want to check it out. So, without further ado, here is a short review of Swimsuit Serika. After 2 long years, our cute, adorable tsundere cat from Abydos in her swimsuit is finally here. It's Swimsuit Serika. And good golly gumdrops fellas, does she look good. While I ain't the biggest fan of her portrait's shading, I am a huge fan of her swimsuit version's overall design. And in my opinion, it's probably the best swimsuit outfit in the game. Not only is it hot, skimpy, and somewhat revealing, covering only her tiny tits and exposing those sexy shoulders, as well as accentuating that cute belly that I want to put my babies in, it is so adorable, especially since it is a skirted swimsuit. Not to mention how shy and embarrassed she looks makes it even better. It really goes to show that you don't need big calcium cannons to pull off a swimsuit look perfectly. Cause Serika, you're killing us sensei's hearts in that swimsuit. Finally, we have to talk about her L2D. God damn, Serika, is that a banana or are you just happy to see me? It's actually quite funny cause compared to the other girls who have mostly serious and heartwarming L2Ds, except for Shiroko, Serika's is just her riding this banana boat, which is honestly quite hilarious. In the morning, she rides the banana boat, at night she rides my banana, wink wink. So, what kind of student is she? Swimsuit Serika is a special mystic DPS unit who has the following terrain moods: D in urban terrains, B in field terrains, and S in indoor terrains. She uses gloves, bag, and watch for her equipment, with the gloves and watch vastly improving her damage capabilities. Time to take a look at her skills. First off, Swimsuit Serika has a 6-cost EX, where she rides a banana, dealing damage to enemies in a round-shaped area. For her basic skill, she once again inflicts damage to enemies in a circular area every 35 seconds. Her enhanced skill increases her attack, and her sub-skill boosts all allies' crit damage. At UE40, she gains more attack on her enhanced skill plus, and at UE50, her indoor combat power upgrades from S to SS. So, how good is Swimsuit Serika? Well, she is a pretty strong blue AoE DPS unit, being one of the only few mystic special damage dealers in the game, and her main role is to basically dish out pure raw damage. She is essentially able to do so with her powerful EX skill, which has a massive multiplier of 1210% at max level, and a fairly wide range. However, it is quite expensive at 6 costs. Plus, you aren't able to half it down to 3 using cost reduction units because she is a special student. Not only that, Swimsuit Serika also has really high base attack, boasting the 2nd highest attack stat among all the special units in the game, and this further improves her EX's damage output. Moving on, her basic skill is somewhat decent. Its low multiplier of 187% even at level 10 skill is kinda weak. But this problem is slightly overcome by her high base attack, and it can still deal acceptable damage, though the 35-second activation time is a little lengthy. Her enhanced and especially her enhanced skill plus further improve her AoE damage dealing capabilities by additionally increasing her attack, and finally, her sub-skill is pretty useful too, as it provides a potent team-wide crit damage buff. Thus, all these make Swimsuit Serika a strong blue special AoE DPS unit, and she can also be considered as the mystic version of Minori, since their kits are kinda similar. In terms of pure damage, due to her EX's huge multiplier and her own high base attack stat, Swimsuit Serika's EX can actually match Minori's 6-cost EX. even dealing slightly more damage. However, the latter 7-cost EX is still more powerful. Not to mention, Minori also has the added advantage of being able to control her EX's cost consumption by making it weaker but cheaper or stronger but more exorbitant, as opposed to Serika's fixed 6-cost EX, which can be disadvantageous in a number of situations. Other than that, their basic skills are also almost identical. Serika's basic skill multiplier is higher, but Minori's basic skill activation time is shorter. And lastly, while Minori's sub-skill isn't as universal as Serika's sub, hers is much more effective and potent for raid-focused teams since it greatly increases their explosive effectiveness. All in all, both are strong units in their own right, and even though they are of differing attack types, this comparison is something worth noting as it can give you a better idea on Swimsuit Serika's capabilities. Now, where can Swimsuit Serika be used in? Well, as a good blue AoE damage dealer, she can obviously be utilized in content with tons of blue mobs, such as regular mission stages for newer players, specific blue joint firing drills, and raids with a bunch of blue minions. In particular, her best use would lie in blue armored indoor Gregorius. For this raid, her main job is pretty simple: nuke the choir members with a powerful EX, subsequently dealing tons of damage to Greg himself. And this is especially helped by her S mood in indoor terrains, plus the fact that we currently only have the indoor version of this raid, while also acting as a passive crit damage stat stack due to her sub skill. While further testing does need to be conducted, because there hasn't been a Gregorius Grand Assault since her release in JP, only a total assault, she should still be strong enough to act as one of the main damage dealers for blue armored Greg, especially since her pure raw damage power is about the same level as Minori's 6-cost EX. So theoretically speaking, she should be a viable pick. However, in my opinion, you would probably be better off using blue striker DPS units in this raid, as they would most likely be able to outperform her. Take Minori for example. Even though she is an extremely strong DPS option for Greg, her pick rate in this raid has diminished as a result of Dress Hina, with many senseis opting to use the Hate Prefect instead, since she can clear the raid much faster due to her immense damage output, allowing them to earn a higher score. This same situation could apply to Swimsuit Serika, where AoE striker units like Nyoya Mutsuki, Swimsuit Koharu, B Hoshino, or even S Hanako might be preferred over her, as they have the potential to dish out way more damage. Especially cause you can buff these striker students using hyper buffers like Ako, Himari, Yuya Kayoko, Kisaki, etc., as opposed to special units who cannot be directly buffed by these students. While the devs are slowly introducing units who can straight up buff special students, such as Aido Sakurako, which could improve Swimsuit Serika's pick rate in this raid like it did with Minori. For instance, there were more teams utilizing her as the main hyper carry on Insane and Torment difficulties in the latest Greg Total Assault in JP, partnering her with Aido Sakurako, but there were still many senseis just using Dress Hina as the primary damage dealer in their teams. Hence, I personally feel that this could be the case with Swimsuit Serika, where striker DPS units would probably outshine her in Blue Greg. But again, testing is definitely required, plus there might be new units in the future who could buff special students as well, which could increase Swimsuit Serika's pick rate in this raid. Other than that, unlike Minori, who has a partner like Nagisa who can significantly improve her damage with her AoE defense debuff and raid units crit damage buff, Swimsuit Serika doesn't exactly have a suitable partner who complements her well and is able to increase her damage. But regardless, you should still be able to use Swimsuit Serika as your main DPS option in Blue Greg. Moving on, Swimsuit Serika might be useful for indoor Blue Cheese. Personally, I didn't see her be used at all in the recent Cheese the Grand Assault in JP, specifically on the higher difficulties. Most likely because she only has B mood in few terrains, and her 6 cost will be a burden here since you wanna clear out the minions as fast as possible. And like I mentioned, you can't cut her costs since she is a special unit. Plus there are other superior blue striker AoE damage dealers whom you can bring in to quickly defeat the minions, such as Hinata, who saw a lot of use in this raid as one of the main hyper carries to take out the minions and damage Cheese himself. despite having a 6 cost EX, as you can reduce hers down to 3 and you're able to hyper buff her. But again, we do need to try her out whenever an indoor GA cheese rolls around. Finally, she does have sufficient attack and accuracy to be a decent niche pick for indoor PvP, as she should be able to take out the backline units. Though once again, her expensive cost can be a problem, and on the off chance that she does miss, especially early on in the match, you'll be wasting 5 to 6 costs cause it'll do nothing, and your chances of losing the match is increased. But again, not a PvP expert, so do correct me if I'm wrong. Overall, should you pull for Swimsuit Serika? Well, if you want a good blue special AoE damage dealer as a decent backup option, or if you want to try her out in the future whenever a new Grand Assault rolls around, or if you believe that she'll become meta soon, what with the devs trying to make special units more viable by slowly introducing specific buffers for them, then sure, go ahead and pull for her. However, in my humble opinion, you might want to skip her since the fest units are literally arriving next month. Plus, there are other important units on the way throughout the next couple of months as well. There's also the limited Swimsuit Hyakyako students after this if you don't have them, and not to mention, if you're very determined to pull right now, you might as well go for Swimsuit Shiroko instead, since she is the best and most flexible among the 4 swimsuit students. Either ways, my personal recommendation would be to skip Swimsuit Serika, save your Pyroxenes, and pray for a future spook. However, if she is your waifu and you wanna bust your nut to Serika's hot swimsuit after enduring NNN, then forget everything I just said. Who am I to stop one from pulling for their waifu? And that's all for this week's review. Again, if you wanna know how good the other 3-star units are, you may check out my previous video on them. I'll link it in the description. Anyways, let me know who you're pulling for if you are. Good luck with your pulls, and I'll see y'all in the next one.